This mutation is called Negative Reinforcement, and it is played on Part and Parcel. We have two mutators active. We have Fatal Attraction, and we have Avenger. Everybody's favorite mutator, Fatal Attraction. 100% fun, 100% interactive. So let us have a look at the masteries. We have 30 points in the Unit Vitality Mastery, 30 points into the Repair Beam, and 30 points into the Spear of Fadoon Energy Mastery, with Karax picking the Templar Apparent Prestige. So this is the unit-centric Karax P2, so we should be expecting a lot of heavy unit-centric builds here. It's going to be kind of interesting because Karax is a pretty solid commander, but you will see in just a little bit why I chose to cast this mutation. Now, if you are playing against this mutation and you are looking for commanders to play seriously, Karax is definitely a choice that you can use. You can use as static defense, you can use as units in a slightly different way as to which will be demonstrated here. And you can see our mutation soloist is going to be Amon, having a little bit of an identity crisis, deciding to fight against himself. But other commanders that work really well against Fatal Attraction are commanders that basically use static defense. So, Zeratol, for example, is a fantastic commander. He pretty much hard counters almost every single mutation and almost every single mutator that exists in the game. He is a fantastic commander, so if you're looking for a commander to get started on that, this is a really good one as well. But overall, I think the thing that's going to be mostly annoying is the Fatal Attraction mutator. It's very easy to lose your army units, so if you have expensive spellcasters in your army, Fatal Attraction can cause you to lose all your army units very, very quickly because you pretty much lose control of your entire army units. And one of the things that also happens is any command that has been issued to them is cancelled when Fatal Attraction is triggered, because Fatal Attraction is it behaves very similarly to a stun. So while the unit is getting pulled towards the army that you have killed, it actually acts also as a stun. So by definition, stuns also cancel commands to those specific units. But we have a couple of sentinels right here that they're waiting. Karax, just ramping up right now, has already chrono boosted the Solar Forge, and they are focusing on their Spear of Fadoon. And do remember, when you are playing Karax, the Spear of Fadoon is really, really important, and you should be using the Spear of Fadoon in a manner very similar to this. Is pick up the high priority targets and then just clean up whatever's left with the rest of your forces. And combined with the Repair Beam, you can actually get a lot of good value for that. The first attack wave has spawned, and we'll be moving towards these two sentinels. These two sentinels may seem a little bit weak, but they have a big death beam in the sky, and the death beam is going to be able to deal. Oh, actually a real death beam. I thought he was just going to use the. I thought he was just going to use the orbital strikes and not the actual solar lance. But yeah. So also one thing to note about the solar lance is make sure that this is a solo, so it's a little bit more difficult. If you're playing with an ally, as long as your ally is providing you vision, you can actually get also a lot of good value for your solar lance. And one thing to know about solar lance is if you do accidentally click outside the fog of war, or into the fog of war, then it'll cancel these abilities. So be careful when you are using this, especially if your units are moving around. So a little bit of a lure over there, drawing these zealots out, and now these zealots will be killed off by the Spear of Fadoon sentry, trying to be smart, but eventually running out of energy. There is one photon cannon over there, and you can see these pickoffs that are happening over there. Just single pickoffs by the Spear of Fadoon to take out the higher priority targets and just soften up the enemy forces as well. Karax actually works really well with a huge number of commanders. So with a commander like Dahaka as well. Don't play Dahaka on this mutation, but if you are playing with a Dahaka ally, you can use the Spear of Fadoon to weaken the enemy units that Dahaka is slapping, and that way you can reduce his Devour cooldown and make it a lot easier for him to farm essence in the early game. He just works so well, and with the new prestiges as well, Karax is just an all-round, just a great commander. He went from being a pretty meh kind of commander to pretty solid, one of the stronger commanders in the game now. So very good changes by Blizzard's part on the prestiges. But these sentinels are going to be pushing through. Probe already ready to drop down the next expansion Nexus, And again, some more parts being picked up. 2 minutes and 25 seconds left on the timer. Attack wave is already on the way, and I think they will be able to clear this out as well. I will bring the observer interface, and here we can see the effect of Avenger as well. Avenger being also one of the things that you gotta be very, very careful about is whenever you're killing an enemy unit, they will drop Avenger stacks. They will give these Avenger stacks to a random unit around them that belongs to Amon, and the higher the tier of the unit, the higher number of Avenger stacks that can be dropped. I think it's up to a maximum of 10, so you want to try and pick off enemy forces very, very slowly when you are clearing and when you're luring. And this is actually one of the reasons why there was luring being done here, is you just want to pull things out very, very slowly. So Pure Fire Beam getting used over here now, and this Pure Fire Beam will start to pick off some more of these Zealots. And you'll actually see these Zealots slowly start to grow as well. So it does make Amon's units significantly more tanky. And when I say Amon, I mean the actual AI Amon, and not the Amon that is actually playing and soloing the mutation. So enemy composition is Fleet of the Matriarch, and you will see that there is a very interesting tech choice here, and this is mostly Immortals and Sentinels. How can Immortals and Sentinels deal with air units? This is the power that is Karax. He used to be the IDEF commander, but now he is also the I-Attack commander. So he IDEF and he I-Attack as well. And this is going to be really good. Bo's objective has spawned right now. We have Shadow Cannon already researched and good to go. And this Shadow Cannon is going to be very, very important when it comes to dealing with the air units. These things like this, that upgrade will allow Immortals to pretty much one-shot like air units that are there. I think a good chunk of the air units. Now, given that this is Protest, there are going to be some Tempests and Carriers. I think those things are going to be a little bit more tanky, but other than that, I think everything else is essentially a one-shot by these Shadow Cannon Immortals. So again, and the other thing as well that will be really nice is that the hybrid also can be, you can deal a good amount of damage to the hybrid. And I will give one tip here: if you do have the Shadow Cannon ability, I'm pretty sure our Mutation Souls is well aware, but Shadow Cannon will be, how do I phrase this? When you are fighting, I think it's best if I'm actually showing the hybrid, but when you're fighting the hybrid, do not cast all your Shadow Cannons on the hybrid at the same time, because when he reaches that particular breakpoint where he's, he spawns his mirror images, or if you're attacking the mirror images and he despawns and spawns the main hybrid, the Shadow Cannons will be cancelled, the spellcast will be cancelled, and the damage will not be dealt in its entirety. So usually it is in your best interest to try and use a few Shadow Cannons, but do not go all out and cast all your abilities on the first spawn of the hybrid, otherwise you are going to kind of waste the ability. And the Shadow Cannon has a significantly large cooldown, so you kind of wanted to try and maximize the amount of value that you get from those ability casts. But I'll try and show that. We already have Energizers also added to the mix here. This army already looking really, really good. And remember, this is P2 Karax. This is not even P3, which, has a much stronger opening in the early game, but this is going to ensure that his army units are very, very tanky, and not tanky, but at least his army is going to be strong enough to be able to tank the enemy forces that will be attacking him, just due to sheer number. These Immortals also doing really well, and we also, I think, have the Repair Beam upgrade as well being researched. Yeah, the Advanced Repair Systems upgrade has been researched and is good to go, so his army is going to be very, very good. And it's very unlikely he's going to be losing a lot of forces. He's lost 3 Sentinels since the start of the game, and these were probably from, as he was pushing through the enemy forces at the start. But General Davis is going to get wiped out right now very, very quickly. But Shadow Cannons are going to be cast. You see what happens over there? Those Shadow Cannons just get instantly cancelled. So now you have these Immortals that are not really doing anything, and they're unable to cast very, very powerful abilities. So that's just one thing to note, is do not spam all your abilities at the same time. But again, if you're trying to kill a hybrid as quickly as possible, it's very tempting to try and cast that ability. I usually just stagger. I cast maybe 2 Shadow Cannons per run. You see how we did that over here? 2 casts. Just gonna wait for that to despawn, and you'll be able to clear out the rest later on as well. But this first hybrid is gonna end up going down, and I think that is pretty much that cleared out. Unfortunately, these units are gonna take a little bit of a pounding there, but the Sentinels will be respawning because they have the reconstruction upgrade as well. And That is that hybrid cleared out. 3 minutes left on the timer. Karax is a little bit pressed for time, but it's not really too much of a problem right now. He is going to be getting more immortals out as well. And you can see here, he's focusing on his research, and he's getting a very, very important upgrade over here, Reclamation. Reclamation is going to make his army grow so quickly as Amon starts to cast those higher tier units. And remember, again, he's going for a full ground force here. So a few more army units over here, and Pure Firebeam getting utilized now to try and clear this out. I apologize that the minimap keeps disappearing every time. This is just a little quirk of the observer interface. Did the thing die? No, the thing didn't die. That one Corsair is going to be moving so fast, and it's going to be so fat, and I don't think it can really do very much. It's going to be moving back here, and now Karax is going to start pushing into these enemy forces over here. Where is this thing going? It's gonna bounce back and forth now. I'm pretty sure it's gonna bounce like back and forth because it has nothing to do. Okay, it's just gonna park over here. Okay, so Karax is gonna start pushing in, trying to ignore that one huge Corsair that's just parked over his base here. Slowly pushing in. He is, like I said, pressed a little bit for time, but 3 minutes left on the timer, and he also has Chrono Wave ready, which is getting used right now, and he's gonna use that to just get all his research done. So level 3 attack upgrades being researched. He also has the phase detonation upgrade, which allows the orbital strikes to stun, and he also has some more immortals on the way as well. So that is going to be really good. Karax sitting at 138 utilized supply out of a maximum of 158, so it's not supply block. Doing really well there. And this next Mobius train is out. I think he might be able to even clean this objective out. Immortals can just focus fire this train out if he wants to do so. Is he gonna do it? Or does he think he doesn't have enough time? Yeah, I think he's convinced he needs to push for time, which is actually not really a bad decision. 3 minutes and 30 seconds is a little bit close, a little bit too close for comfort, but he's going to start clearing through as well. I would have probably just ended up shadow cannoning the thing and maybe even lost the mission because of that, because I would have probably tried to take out the bonus objective in the process. But Immortals going to be pushing in right now, and you know, these sentinels, these sentries being a little bit annoying, casting all their little barriers. If you want, you can get a Colossus. You can build one Colossus, and because it's a massive unit, it can break these force fields. But it's not really too much of a big deal here. And Fatal Attraction again being very, very annoying. And again, this is one of the reasons why going for the Energizer Reclamation upgrade is, you know, it's an interesting way. You know, you are dealing with air units through a purely ground-based army, so getting your Energizers and reclaiming the army units means that you don't have to kill them, which means that they do not trigger the Fatal Attraction. Now, one thing that you may be wondering is if I steal a unit with Avenger, does it keep the Avenger stacks? And I will tell you that the answer is no. Avenger stacks are not maintained on units that you are stealing, so there you can actually see that happening right now. Scarriers just instantly shrunk, and yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a problem, but again, Spirit of Dune, very, very balanced unit, and is able to take out the rest of these units here. And one interesting thing to also you probably knows is that when you take Amon's carrier and convert it to a Karax carrier, it becomes actually a Karax carrier, so it gets all the buffs that Karax normally gives it. You can see its texture changes as well, which is kind of nice. But yeah, Karax slowly starting to push through. Hybrid is ready to be spawned, and he has some more Energizers ready to steal some more of Amon's units. Amon is reclaiming Amon's units. There's a lot of wordplay that can be had with this game. Post your clever wordplays in chat. Post your clever wordplays in the comments below. Let me know what other clever ways you have of describing Amon reclaiming Amon's units. So yeah, so that area is going to be cleared out as well. One of the weaker enemy bases here. So these are pretty much free parts for Karax. Now, unfortunately, because he's dealing with a Protoss composition, it means that he's going to essentially have to clear almost all of the map. When you're playing up against Zerg, you have those little defense spots that are around, and General Davis getting wiped as well. But because of those defense spots, it means you do not have to clear all the areas of the map, but because you're dealing with Protoss, you don't have to do that. And General Davis has basically just gone around and given Avenger stacks to all of Amon's units, which is probably not very ideal, but Karax is getting ready now in position, just goes ahead and steals all of these scouts. Now, these scouts are no real big deal. The goal is to just try and steal all of that. Let's just take out the high priority Amon forces here, and the Colossus as well along the way. Pure Firebeam getting utilized here to clear out the rest of these forces, and now all that is left is a hybrid. Now, also one thing to note is that the hybrid has an ability that allows it to spawn attack waves, and Karax is going to go and deal with this attack wave first, but I think if you were to get that, especially on the first hybrid, if it spawns attack waves, I think you're pretty much dead on this mutation, or at least you're going to have a very difficult time. I wouldn't say you're dead because it's all like it's almost impossible to die on a mutation unless you completely screw up. But I think if you're good enough, you should not die regardless. But I do think that if you get a hybrid that spawns attack waves, you're in for a much harder time. And now, unfortunately, these scouts are dealing a good amount of damage. I think all of Karax's energizers have gotten focus fired down. So press F for those energizers. A lot of those energizers, yeah, 13 energizers dying right now. What are the losses? We have a total of 5,000 resources lost over here, but Amon playing at a whopping 100 APM. I did see it go up to 180 APM, but now Amon has to actually go and take out this hybrid by himself, which is, I think, okay as long as it's not spawning attack waves. I think if it spawns an attack wave, it's pretty much GG, and I don't think it would be a very easy time for this to happen. But it does have the clone attack. It has, I think this is the new ability. It's the stasis ability, because I think it had the clone attack in the previous one. It has the lock on the other one as well. So far so good. So Amon will be able to remax his energizers, and one thing you will notice as well is that this hybrid does not have a fixed amount of HP. It doesn't have a round number. What is going on? Could it be that the Avenger sacks are being given to the hybrid? The answer is yes. This hybrid does pick up Avenger sacks because it is considered an Amon unit, and therefore this hybrid also gets Avenger stacks, which is completely 100% balanced. But it does mean also that it has a higher attack speed, and this is such a frustrating like exercise in just playing like dodgeball against this hybrid. But you know, Amon doing his best, slowly starting to clear this out. He's gonna get his entire army status here because of fatal attraction. But no, the hybrid gets cancelled, and now there is a bunch of shadow cannons that are getting used as well. I think all the shadow cannon casts have been utilized. So now these immortals are being buffed by their energizer buddies, just trying to deal a little bit of damage. Repair Beam doing a lot of work. I have said this many times, but I really wish Repair Beam heal HP was a stat that was trackable in co-op, because I think that would be really cool to see. Like, how much HP does Repair Beam heal? And I'm pretty sure that Repair Beam has been doing a lot of work. Finally, the hybrid has gone down. 2 minutes and 25 seconds left on the timer, and there is an attack wave that has spawned, and unfortunately, because this is an air attack wave, it has split a little bit. You have the Corsairs over here. Corsairs not really too big of a deal because they don't really do very much except this thing, which is really annoying, but it's more of an irritant more than anything. But there is a ground, there is another air part of this attack wave there. I think there are some carriers, and there are also some arbiters. And yeah, those are the arbiters over there, but there might be some carriers as well. These carriers now are going to start attacking Karax's base, but Karax sees these carriers, and he's like, my carriers. These are very nice carriers. It would be a shame if, you know, I were to just take them. And this is what he does. There, Spear of Doom being utilized as well to clean up the rest of these forces here. This carrier is going to end up going down, but the goal has been achieved, which is trying to remove as much of these enemy forces as possible. Corsair still being a little bit more annoying, and the attraction pulling them towards the Corsair. 1 minute left on the timer, so it's either 1 minute or 60 seconds, whichever comes first, and that will be the end of the mission. So Karax has to push in, sitting at about 50 seconds so far, and now, yeah, see, he's a little bit reluctant to try and push into this hybrid, because this hybrid is just going to go around and just start giving huge Avenger stacks to everything here. And now the Solar Lances are out, pretty much deleting the front line of the evil Amon's forces, and the good Amon is going to be pushing through now and clearing through the rest of the space and picking up the rest of these parts. Very close to clearing as well, so it's not really too big of a deal. There are a few part boxes on here as well, and there are some part boxes down here that need to be dealt with. Over here there are some sentinels. May not be enough because these void rays will actually start focus. They will actually start to focus down these immortals, and I think some of these immortals may end up dying here. But this area has been cleared out. 1 minute and 30 seconds left on the timer. Yeah, this void ray and this immortal, very sad here, unable to do anything, unable to shoot through the air units on the top there, but that is that getting cleared out. And some more part boxes over here. Pick up those part boxes. There we go. One of the unfortunate things is that these part boxes don't really have very high aggro priority. Your forces will always try and prioritize Amon's army and army units here. But attack wave has spawned, and have all the energizers died again? I think all the energizers have died here, and now you have just a bunch of carriers, and Amon being a little bit reluctant to use the Spear of Adun here, which is kind of odd. All these things are stacked up very nicely. One of the things that makes air units very easy to deal with is because they tend to stack up very much. You can get a lot of good value for your forces there. But yeah, final set of part boxes have been picked up here, and I think Amon, the good Amon maybe is still a little bit short on time. May have like maybe only about 5 minutes left on the timer, because the completion of the hybrid doesn't really add a lot of time to the mission fail timing, and because he was kind of pressed for time over the course of this mission, he may not have a lot of time to spare. And there's one random carrier here who's going to start attacking, and I think this will be picked up by the Spear of Adun. There we go. So that will be that taken care of. But the most important thing right now is to start clearing out this final enemy base, because General Davis has absolutely no chance of pushing into this base by herself, and this is where Fatal Attraction can get really, really nasty. A lot of these Energizers will get focus fired down by Amon's forces, because Amon, the tactical AI does have some kind of prioritization on your forces. Your spellcasters are much more likely to get focused down by some of these units here. I would like, okay, there we go. Shadow Cannon. I was just going to say, I would like to see Shadow Cannons being utilized on some of these air units, which is exactly what happened. And now, yeah, there's one very, very angry Void Ray, and finally this Void Ray does go down, and I think there is a good enough clear, there is a reasonably decent enough clear here to allow General Davis to not get wiped. But unfortunately, I think what will probably happen is she'll start to aggro this pylon and then this photon cannon, and she'll just end up getting dragged off across the end, and that Hybrid Dominator will just wreck her. I think that's probably what might happen. What do we have? The Nexus has gone down. Oh my god, the humanity. Okay, there we go. Finally, that has been cleared out. Robe is now very upset. Their house has been destroyed. But yeah, so yeah, what Amon did there, the good Amon, is he actually ended up clearing this thing out. And I think I would probably try and focus this thing down as well before you draw aggro a little bit more. Because, yeah, you kind of do not want General Davis to get aggro and do random things like that, because you just want her to pop this containment facility. Because the other thing to remember is that there is still a timer that is like counting down, so you kind of want General Davis to move the mission along. So there we go. This is the next hybrid. We had this ability on the second hybrid. What is the other ability? What is the hybrid going to cast? What is the hybrid going to cast right now? It kind of depends. My apologies for that. My phone did ring. I don't know if you heard it, but my apologies for that. I'm kind of near the end of the cast, and I kind of do not want to redo the cast. So we'll just wait for that. But yeah, overall, I think pretty much well handled there by by our good Amon. So that should not be too bad. And I think this should all be cleared as well. This base has just been completely ravaged by the evil Amon's forces, but the expansion is there. But take a look at how fast these things are moving. This is just absolutely terrifying. 3,000 HP left on the hybrid, and everything has been stasis, which is no good, because this attack wave is actually moving towards Amon's base now, or the good Amon's base, but hybrid is going to end up dying. And those are all of the hybrids cleared, and yeah, lots of carnage. Oh wow, that was a lot of carnage there, but that is all the 3 hybrids cleared, and that is GG.